It's Thursday, June 8. In the headlines, Jamaica Midwives Association to meet with the Health Ministry. Prime Minister Andrew Holness addresses Caribbean National Security Conference 2023. In business news, gas prices are down by 25 cents. Regionally, Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley is calling for greater regional cooperation on water. Internationally, UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak seeks stronger ties with the United States. And in sports, Jamaica's hockey team places second in regional stage. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Representatives of the Jamaica Midwives Association and the Ministry of Health are to attend a conciliatory meeting today, June 8. Midwives across the island have been staging a sick-out since Monday over discrepancies and anomalies in their salaries since the public sector wage system was implemented. The two parties are discussing the way forward. We'll have more as the story unfolds. Jamaicans are being urged to report instances of child abuse to authorities via the 211 hotline 1888-PROTECT, the offices of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, the Ministry of Education and Youth, or the nearest police station. The call follows reports that several women and children were removed from the Kahal Yahweh Church in St. James Wednesday morning. The security forces carried out a major operation led by the Area 1 Police in conjunction with the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, the Jamaica Defence Force, the Ministry of Health as well. PBCJ understands that the move follows reports of child abuse and young girls being married to grown men. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says security forces remain committed to fighting against crime and violence in the region. Speaking at the Caribbean National Security Conference 2023, the Prime Minister also said a key ingredient in strengthening regional security is enhancing cooperation among the states in the region.
We continue to face the challenge of inadequate resources relative to the nature and scale of the threats we face, both at the national and regional levels.
Concerning the security challenges in Haiti, Prime Minister Andrew Holness asserted that threats to regional security from this matter are multifaceted and diverse. However, Jamaica continues with other Caribbean nations to work toward a solution.
We continue to develop our good office's role, two significant components of which are the appointment of an eminent persons group of retired prime ministers and the facilitation of a consensus-building engagement of diverse Haitian stakeholders in Jamaica from the 11th to the 13th of June. Additionally, we continue to explore how we can assist the training of the Haitian National Police.
CANSEC 2023 is being held under the theme Strengthening Regional Security Through Informed Action. Jamaica is co-hosting the conference in Montego Bay, St. James from June 5 to June 19, 2023. Jamaica will be hosting Haitian stakeholder consultations in Kingston from June 11 to June 13. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in making the disclosure in Parliament on Tuesday, said invitations were issued to the stakeholders by the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, chair of the Conference of CARICOM Heads. As host, Jamaica will be providing the venue for the consultations as well as arrangements to facilitate the attendees. These include representatives from Haiti, the Eminent Persons Group, which is established by CARICOM to oversee the community's provision of good offices to the government of Haiti, and Haitian stakeholders. She was born in Gregory Park, Portmore, St. Catherine, but was taken to Bog Walk when she was just a week old. Volunteering is in her blood. Ms. Karen Sidhu says she feels fulfilled when she's serving her fellow citizens, and it all started when she was a teen. This month, we salute this passionate community hero. Ms. Sadu says the idea of establishing True United Sisters came to her at age 17 as she observed her parents trying creative means to ensure the family's survival.
The vision was from age 17, but the establishment of the organization came 25 years after. I just got up one day and said, you know, it's full time now. This is dragging out too long. And I just started True United Sisters with some of my friends.
She says when it started, she would use her own money to send women to classes.
The JIS part of it also helped me to do what I'm doing today because I was the producer of a 5-minute feature called Roundabout JA. And as the name suggests, I had to go all over Jamaica to get stories and so on to highlight for Roundabout JA. So that too inspired me to volunteer and to do community work. But then I became so involved, it became such a big part of me that even when I left the JIS and I went to other agencies, I just couldn't focus on the work. I just wanted to go there and help people because there are so many persons who need assistance, so many persons who are unaware of their rights, you know, their opportunities and so on and so forth. So there was a time when I was working at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security as a public relations officer. I could not focus because some of my former co-workers, they couldn't understand why I was in this thing. And I can say it on camera. They even took my name to the permanent secretary to say all I talk about is True United Sisters.
Since then, the organization has grown. It even has a small chapter in Canada run by Mr. and Mrs. Orrit Smith.
This is our third location. But you talk about expanding. We have expanded the programs as well because when we started, we usually assist unemployed and unskilled women. Now we're working with young people. We work with senior citizens, the indigent, youth at risk. The My Students of the Month program now is geared specifically at students who are performing well, right? So what we do, we provide their lunch money and their bus fare for the month. So we might select 2 students for a month and we do that for them. We get the total cost and we would, provide that for them. So that's My Students for the month. Senior citizens, we have a program called Someone Cares. And this program is primarily for the seniors who don't have anybody in particular to care for them. So we place them on the program. They might be hypertensive, they might be diabetic, they might be visually impaired, whatever kind of disabilities. We place them on the program. Sometimes we'd go to their homes, we'd clean their houses, provide whatever they need, groceries and so on and so forth, assist them with medication, fair to the doctor's appointment, that kind of thing, so that someone cares.
There's also a back-to-school program.
When we start having these big award ceremony, and each year we'd identify students who are in need, students who have excelled, because we have different categories. We have the scholarships, we have the needy part of it, and different categories. So it has been a success. Last year, 2022, we awarded $594,000 to 22 students. So each year it kind of gets bigger, right? So that is one of our main programs. With the unemployed and unskilled women, if they come to us and we find that they're genuine and so on, and we can assist them to get a skill with funding, we also do that.
Yeah, we still go over some place down in some gullies to distribute packages to senior citizens. Sometimes you have sleepless night thinking about how she's gonna get funds for a student to go back to college or to pay CXCR, unskilled mothers and so forth.
Despite the challenges with transportation and just funding on a whole, the True United Sisters are looking to expand their service offerings.
We want to assist them to go to school in terms of financial assistance and so on, because they have some groups that people have forgotten or they get very little help. So, we have been doing what we can do with the resources that we have.
Ms. Sadu is asking for your help.
That is what we'd really, really welcome, because we can't do anything. We have the vision, we have the ideas, we have everything apart from the finances. Please feel free to contact us at 876-421-0404. That's 876-421-0404, or we're located in Church Road, that's in Bogwalk in St. Catherine.
Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the price of gasoline and an increase in the price of diesel effective Thursday, June 18, according to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam. With both grades of gasoline down by 25 cents, 87 octane will sell for $170.20 per liter, while 90 octane gasoline will sell for $173.73 per liter. Up by 25 cents, automotive diesel fuel will sell for $165.87 per liter. Ultra-low sulfur diesel will sell for $173.32 per liter after a decrease of $3.06. And kerosene increased by 25 cents will sell for $176.72 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will sell for $58.21 per liter, down by $1.14, and butane liquid petroleum will sell for $65.76 per liter after a decrease of $1.57. Remember that marketing companies and retailers will add their markups to these prices. In its latest Global Economic Prospects Report for 2023, the World Bank estimates that the Jamaican economy will grow by 2%. Additional data shows for 2024 economic growth is projected to improve by 0.5%, then 1.7% with a marginal decline to 1.5% in 2025. For Latin America and the Caribbean, the World Bank's forecast growth for this year at 5.1%, which is 0.5% lower than the projection in January. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, June 7, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.75. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $116.64. The pound sterling traded for $194.48, and the euro sold for an average of $169.69. In GSE trading, the GSE index declined by 2,552 points. The junior market index advanced by 17 points. The combined market index declined by 2,224 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 2,652 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 102 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 49 declined, and 18 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Stocks declined for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and CAC 2000 Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, Caribbean Cream Limited, and Carreras Limited. The overall volume leaders were Fosrich Company Limited and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 1 million units, and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 700,000 units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted 3 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Emera Deposit Receipt was a sole security trading 7 shares. In regional business, although growth in Latin America and the Caribbean region is expected to slow even further this year, Guyana continues to maintain a favorable outlook. This is according to a new Global Economic Prospects report from the World Bank.
Guyana is the only country in the Latin American Caribbean region that is projected to record double-digit growth this year. That is according to information provided in a new Global Economic Prospects report from the World Bank. That report says Guyana's real gross domestic product is expected to increase by 25.2% this year. Beyond these shores, the entire Latin American Caribbean region should expand by 1.5% this year. The bank said this growth signals a further depression in the region. The Caribbean specifically is projected to expand by 5.1%. Growth in this region is buoyed by a recovery in tourism and remittances. Guyana's positive outlook, like in previous years, is largely on account of its booming oil sector. And in the years ahead, positive growth should continue as the country's oil sector develops further with new oil fields offshore. Outside of Guyana, the bank noted that slow growth in the region may only translate to marginal reductions in poverty in the region. With this financial outlook, the World Bank says good fiscal and monetary policies are needed to help countries overcome slowed growth. But even with those policies in place, there are some risks such as climate change, which can adversely impact countries reliant on agriculture and mining. Reporting for the newsroom, Prashani Raghaber.
In international business, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq closed in negative territory.
U.S. stocks finished mixed Wednesday, with analysts citing profit-taking as a reason for the decline of the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq after a months-long mega-cap stocks run. The Dow rose 0.3%, while the S&P 500 dropped 0.4%, and the Nasdaq fell 1.3%. The focus is now on inflation data out next week, along with the decision on interest rates from the Federal Reserve. Financial markets see a 70% chance the Fed leaves rates unchanged, which is what Summit Place Advisors founder and president Liz Miller is expecting.
We had 330,000 new jobs in that recent payroll report. A year ago, we'd be excited at 150, 180,000. So there's no question we still have this extremely strong labor environment. And the Fed is definitely struggling with that alongside its inflation fighting efforts. So if they wanted to find data to support another rate increase, they easily could find it. But I think Chairman Powell has really communicated it's likely they're going to take a pass this month. They're going to pause. Investors have been pushing for that for months now, and really will come back in July. I think they may pause and make it clear in the statement that this doesn't mean that they are sure they're done raising rates, but they have enough movement. They're going to wait for some more data and revisit things in July.
Stocks on the move included Campbell's Soup, which fell 9% after the packaged food maker posted a lower fiscal third-quarter gross margin dented by high commodity and freight costs. And Coinbase, which added 3% the day after hitting a 7-month low. The company's CEO reassured investors that their funds were safe and blasted the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission over its lawsuit against the company.
In market data for oil rose as starter supply resulting from Saudi Arabia's pledged production cut and a potential pause in U.S. interest rate hikes offset worries over demand weakness and a global economic slowdown. Brent crude rose 62 cents to $77.57 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude gained 68 cents to $73.21. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Denita Rodney.
In regional news, as Barbados hosts the 2023 Caribbean Water Conference, Prime Minister Mia Mottley is calling for greater regional cooperation on water management. The two-day high-level meeting is organized by the United States Agency for International Development in partnership with the government of Barbados.
We have in our midst the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology, who continues to do distinguished work. But we need now to formalize the arrangements and to formally make them, in this 50th year of the Caribbean Community, Deputy SG, the official agency responsible for mobilizing partnership and increasing governance efficiency and efficacy within the region on the issue simply of water. It makes no sense for each of these countries to be fighting these battles as if we are alone. We cannot afford the luxury of people abstracting water without license, without quantification, without security, and without payment. And the difficult discussions that have to happen in terms of how we change behavior at that level, down to the level of the households, where we need to encourage more of our people to be able to acquire water tanks and conservation devices for the bathrooms and the showers, is absolutely imperative.
The Bahamas could find itself in a tough position following another natural disaster or even pandemic. The grim prediction coming from Prime Minister Philip Davis, who says grave mismanagement of public funds and failure to account has weakened the trust of international loan agencies. Bethany McDermott reports.
Unanswered questions about the management of finances during the COVID-19 emergency orders and Hurricane Dorian could have major international implications. That's according to Prime Minister Philip Davis, who says should the Bahamas experience another catastrophic hurricane, we may have a difficult time getting financial assistance.
If we are not transparent and if we do not hold those who abuse the public trust accountable, we run the risk of losing credibility ourselves and trust in the international community.
When the Davis administration took office in September 2021, it revealed funds associated with the National Food Distribution Task Force weren't accounted for. Back in March, Davis said one nonprofit organization went on a spending spree with funds meant for the program. Kicking off debate on the 2023-2024 budget, Davis reaffirmed his government's commitment to getting answers.
There's a deep suspicion that not all the funds were used in the way they were supposed to be. These suspicions have been deepened by the fact that many organizations involved are reluctant or unable to answer even basic questions.
The program was formed back in 2020 to provide emergency food assistance to many in need during the hardship caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The program ended once the PLP took office, with the Davis-led government saying there were no records of how money was spent. Davis says anything that adds to the national debt must be properly explained and accounted for the Bahamian people.
The lack of transparency, the lack of proper records, the complete disregard for procurement policies did not happen by accident. It was by design. Once again, it is critical that any activity that contributes to the additional national debt has a justifiable return on investment.
With major investments being made, the government is continuing to push for Guyana to become the most attractive tourism destination in South America. This was emphasized by Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Oniji Walrond, at the Action Invest Tourism and Hospitality Program.
We have a clear directive and mandate that Guyana becomes the premier tourism destination in this part of the hemisphere. We have targets and we would like to see more internationally branded hotels, and we sent out an expression of interest for internationally branded hotels. We would like to see our interior runways improved so we can have more airlift, and we have brought investment in this regard. We would like to see roads from Lethem to Linden to Lethem that connects Brazil, open up that entire corridor for tourism, and we've invested.
Among the international branded hotels in which suds were already turned are the Pasha Global and Blue Bridge Incorporated Hotel, Sheraton Four Points Hotel, and AC Hotels Marriott. The bulk of visitors and investors are not only looking at opportunities in the oil and gas sector, but also at the pristine ecologies such as the Iwokrama Lodge and Research Center and places such as the Kaitra Falls, all which exist in Guyana.
Further afield, United Kingdom Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has begun a visit in Washington, D.C., where topics like artificial intelligence, the war in Ukraine, and transatlantic trade are set to dominate 2 days of meetings. Al Jazeera has the details.
It has survived the test of time, a bond forged by common democratic ideals and values, so says the US State Department, that has withstood challenges, embraced changes, no matter the difference between its leaders. It was Winston Churchill himself, half American by way of his mother, who coined the phrase the special relationship, and a sentiment echoed by the current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who continued to hold a US green card while he was the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
He's a Stanford man.
But it is not without its tests, not least for the UK, still adapting to life outside the European Union.
The UK is no longer part of one of the largest markets in the world. It is on its own. It hasn't, sorted out its relationship with Europe. That's improving. That helps. But America can no longer look to the UK as the country that it feels most comfortable with. That's part of one of the biggest markets in the world.
But it's not just a question of economics. Defence forms a major part of the ties between London and Washington. such as AUKUS, a recently formed strategic trilateral alliance between Australia, the UK and the US in the Indo-Pacific region. Britain beat off competition from France to build nuclear-propelled submarines. France called it a stab in the back. Yet the UK's decision to lead support for Ukraine after the 2022 Russian invasion as part of a transatlantic response left the US in no doubt of the country's continuing military goals and objectives. There will be much to discuss during Mr. Sunak's trip to Washington, and not least of all the ongoing war in Ukraine, which has strengthened ties between the US and the UK. And while the relationship between the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson and President Biden perhaps fell a little short of special, there is a renewed interest on both sides to repair that. Part of that involves stemming the rapid advances in artificial intelligence, which experts warn could cause human extinction. The US and the EU are already collaborating on the issue, while the UK is pitching itself as an international hub for AI regulation, less severe than the EU but tougher than the US, and opening up a new technological frontier in this historical partnership. Sonia Gallego, Al Jazeera, London.
In sports, Jamaica's national men's hockey team have put themselves in an excellent position for the International Hockey Federation World Cup next year. The January 24 to 31 tournament, which involves 16 teams for both men and women's categories. In the preliminary stage of the Pan American Confederation Hockey Fives Championship at Mona Hockey Field, the Jamaicans placed second in Pool A of the qualifiers with 6 points, 3 points behind the United States. Puerto Rico finished third with 3 points, while Panama were last in the 4-team pool with 0 points. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.